Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really powerful material today, excerpts from Nicole McKinney's book, From Dough to Dawn, Managing More Than Just Pizzas. And our goal here really is to dig into what she experienced, not just, the pizza making, but the human side of working in food service.
Exactly. It's about understanding the emotions, the real challenges people face in those jobs, things we might not even think about when we just order food.
Yeah, totally. So this is about Slice Haven, her pizza place, but more about the people, the leadership, what we can learn.
What it tells us about ourselves too, maybe, and how we interact with service staff.
Okay, let's dive in. So Nicole starts as an assistant manager at Slice Haven. Pretty early on, you get this sense of her ambition and her connection with the GM, Sandra.
It seems like it really shaped Nicole's whole approach, her dedication early on.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how important those first bosses can be.
Absolutely. And you see Nicole grabbing that opportunity. Sandra leaves, Nicole steps up, even goes to management classes. Real drive there.
But then she comes back to, tricky situation.
Right, the team dynamics. Especially this attitude the managers had towards the delivery drivers. Kind of hands-off.
A bit laissez-faire, yeah. It sounds like Nicole, coming back with all these new ideas and training, kind of bumped up against the existing way of doing things.
Yeah, a culture clash, almost.
Definitely. And that highlights, a common issue. Trying to bring in changes or maintain standards when the existing culture isn't quite aligned. It's tough.
Okay, so things are already a bit complex, and then, bam, the robbery.
Ugh, yeah. This part is intense.
She describes closing up, doors supposedly locked, doorbell rings.
Yeah.
And this guy with a gun just vaults the counter.
It's terrifying just reading it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really striking is how she handles it.
Right. She's calm, opens the register, gives him the safe keys.
And crucially, hits the panic button.
Yeah.
Under that kind of pressure. Incredible presence of mind.
But then the twist. Oh, man. The cook.
Yeah, the realization that one of her own coworkers probably set the whole thing up.
That betrayal must have been...
Oh, absolutely devastating. The company's relieved, no one's physically hurt, which is obviously good, but for Nicole, it's not just the robbery trauma, it's knowing someone inside was involved.
It adds this whole other layer of fear, I imagine, especially, as she points out, being a woman of color in that situation, too.
Exactly. It really drives home that workplace safety isn't just about locked doors or, outside threats. It's also about knowing who you're working alongside. Trust is huge.
Such a key takeaway. Personal safety and knowing your team. So after that trauma, you'd think maybe things would settle down, but then Sandra comes back.
Yeah, the original GM returns. But it's not the same Sandra who mentored Nicole.
No. The book describes a serious drinking problem.
And it's clearly affecting her job. Profoundly. The smell of alcohol, being late all the time, making really questionable hiring choices.
Hiring people while under the influence, it sounds like. People who weren't qualified or reliable.
It just paints this picture of someone really struggling. And that struggle is poisoning the whole workplace.
It becomes chaotic, toxic even. And the drivers start exploiting the situation.
Yeah, it sounds like with Sandra's inconsistent leadership, some drivers just started doing their own thing, taking advantage. Morale plummets.
And meanwhile, what about the assistant general manager, the AGM?
Apparently just focused on the numbers, sales figures, labor costs.
So completely missing the human catastrophe unfolding.
Or choosing to ignore it, maybe. It's that classic managing by spreadsheet problem. You hit the targets, but the actual operation, the people, are falling apart.
Which, eventually has to impact the numbers anyway, right?
You'd think so. Poor service, high turnover, that costs money. But sometimes that connection gets missed when you're only looking at the bottom line week to week.
Okay, so the tension is just building and building, and then it explodes on this one Friday night. The fiasco.
Right. Sounds like a nightmare shift. Short-staffed, slammed with orders, standard food service pressure, but amplified.
And then there's an incident with an angry customer, which actually has an interesting resolution later.
Yeah, that part's quite telling. The customer was really upset, but later comes back and apologizes, explains she was going through some personal stuff.
It's a little reminder, isn't it? Everyone's carrying something.
Exactly. Both sides of the counter.
Yeah.
Nicole handles it well, and the apology kind of validates that need for empathy, even when things are stressful.
But the main event that night involves a driver, Tyrone.
He wants to clock in early. Nicole says no. Standard procedure.
And he gets aggressive, insubordinate.
And then physically intimidating. He brushes her head, roughly.
Whoa. That crosses a serious line.
A huge line. Physical contact like that, completely unacceptable. Nicole's reaction, grabbing something metal.
Self-defense. Pure instinct when you feel threatened.
Totally understandable. A friend has to step in.
So Nicole does the right thing. She calls the GM, Sandra, to report this serious incident.
And Sandra's response is just unbelievable.
All she cares about is having a driver to close the store. She wants Tyrone back.
Despite him being aggressive, insubordinate, and physically intimidating his manager.
Yeah, that had to be it for Nicole. The breaking point.
You can almost feel it reading the account. It's the moment where it becomes crystal clear that her safety, her well-being, just doesn't matter to leadership. It's all about keeping the wheels turning, no matter the human cost.
What a terrible message to send, not just to Nicole, but to everyone working there.
Completely undermines any sense of safety or support.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when Nicole decides she has to leave Slice Haven.
It sounds like a really hard decision, leaving a place she'd invested so much in, but necessary.
Absolutely necessary. She realized she had to prioritize her own sanity, her safety, recognizing her own worth.
That's a powerful lesson right there.
It really is. No job is worth compromising your fundamental well-being or integrity. She learned some incredibly tough lessons about people, management, and self-respect through all this.
And stepping back, looking at the whole story, there's this recurring theme, isn't there? About seeing food service workers as, well, as human beings.
Yes, that feels like a core message. Her experiences, the good and the horrifyingly bad, they illustrate that these aren't robots making your pizza.
They have lives, emotions, they face difficult situations, sometimes even dangerous ones like the robbery.
Exactly. They deal with difficult managers, workplace politics, personal struggles, just like anyone else. Nicole's story is a powerful window into that reality.
So wrapping this up, thinking about Nicole McKinney's journey, it starts with passion, mentorship.
Then this shocking robbery reveals hidden dangers, the betrayal,
followed by the decline caused by all leaders' personal issues,
leading to that offer Friday night and the final realization that she had to get out.
It's a story of resilience, ultimately, making that incredibly hard choice to leave a toxic environment for her own sake.
And it really hammers home how vital it is to recognize the human element everywhere, but especially in service industries where interactions can become so transactional.
Yeah. It really makes you think, maybe the next time you're grabbing coffee or getting takeout.
Just take that extra second.
Yeah. Remember, there's a whole person there with their own day, their own story, acknowledging that humanity, like Nicole's book shows us.
It can change the whole interaction, can't it? Lead to a bit more understanding, maybe a bit more patience.
Definitely something to think about. How could we each maybe bring a little more of that recognition into our daily encounters?